Sup peeps, Monday morning. My name's Ian, I sell books on eBay. We've got 20-ish orders going out today. One stack of DVDs, the rest all books, as you would expect because I sell books on eBay. Quite a few bundles and quite a few singles. A couple of nice few individual sales within that. Was that 20 orders is the entire weekend, which is really quite meh. Fortunately, a couple of good sales, which I'll show you because they're very nice. One of them's an absolutely gorgeous book. And alongside that, I want to talk a bit about pricing, how to price what you've got, because there's lots of things to consider when it comes to deciding on your price. And yeah, let's have a chat about that. But first up, we're going to grab some David Walliams books. We've got a stack of 5. Mr. Stink, Gangster Granny, Billionaire Boy, Grandpa's Great Escape, and The Boy in the Dress. And these are going to CF23, and they paid a total of £12.50. So get these wrapped up and start thinking about the pricing deal. So, when pricing books, there are some very important things to consider. First up, what's your time worth? If you're doing a bit of part-time selling and you've got so many hours a week, say you've got 10 hours a week to spare, and all you're looking to do is whatever you can make in those 10 hours is going towards the holiday fund, school uniform fund, you know, whatever it might be, then pricing means one thing. If you value your time, which I'm quite sure most people do, and you're actually trying to make a certain amount of profit, again, that could be for a holiday fund, or it could be just to supplement your income enough to pay the bills, then pricing means something else. If you have a value you can put on your time, i.e. so you want to make minimum wage, let's say £10 an hour. I know that's not exactly the minimum wage, but let's say £10 an hour. Turn you around a wee bit so I can see you. You want to make £10 an hour, then you need to start working backwards so you know what will actually make you £10 an hour, and then you can move on to the pricing. So if you have 10 hours a week, you're going to use 2 hours Monday to Friday, let's just say, and that means that you need to make £20 profit each day. Then the first thing you need to do is work out how much you need to sell. 1500 grams for the David Walliams books. Where did I say they were going? CF23. So £20 a day profit for 2 hours work. Not unreasonable. And fairly low, to be honest. So what can you do in those 2 hours? So how long does it take you to go out and pick your books, pick your items? If you allowed, say, an hour a week to do that, so you're at 1 hour out of the 10 that you're going to use, that leaves you 9 hours to list, sort, pick, pack, and get to the post office. Right? It's not a lot of time. If you want to post out, provide good customer service, then you're going to want to post out every day, 5 days a week. So that could be half an hour every day. So there's another 2.5 hours gone. So you've used up 3.5 hours sourcing and posting, just going to the post office. So that leaves you with 6.5 hours. So that 6.5 hours is what you need to use for your listing and your packing. What I find, next book going out is Little Woman, which is in a wee stack here somewhere. The heck's it going? There it is. Little Woman by Louise May Alcott. A single book on its own. Yeah, so you've got that 6.5 hours for your listing and your packing. Now, listing takes practice, of course. Packing takes practice. For both, you need to come up with a system. And when you start out, that system is not going to be great. It's going to need refined as you go along. So you don't want to look at what other people are doing and base your timings on that when you're just starting, because quite simply, you're going to run out of time if you do that. You need to base it on where you are in the moment. So for me, it takes me up to an hour to list 100 books. If you're wanting to make £20 profit a day, then you're probably looking at about 100 books. And that comes into pricing, which we'll get to in a wee moment or two. This weighs 375 grams and it's going to G66. And G66 paid £6.90, so £3.25 plus postage for Little Women. Right. So yeah, 100 books a week is what you're going to be aiming for if you want to make £20 a day on average. All of these things go in cycles, so once you've sorted one thing out, you move on to the next, and then you come all the way back around to the start, and it changes, and it's a spiral rather than a circle. Spiral of improvement, continuous improvement, it's key. So for Coraline, Neil Gaiman, Coraline, £3.25 plus postage. So you're going to do 100 books because you've got 10 hours a week. If you're starting out, that's going to take you a couple of hours. If you've got a system down pat, take you less than an hour, depending how you're doing it. So you've now got 5.5 hours to do your picking and your packing. If I've got 20 orders going out, which is roughly, well, it's 20 times 5, that could be up to 100 books. Then that'll take me about an hour to pack them. So give yourselves a couple of hours, which means that even when you're starting out and you're going slow, 100 books with a system in place that will improve still leaves you potentially a couple of hours spare every week out of that 10 hours you've got. And that allows for, a wee bit extra time picking, a wee bit extra time going to the post office, a wee bit extra time listing. But that's going to make you your £100 profit a week. 200 grams for Coraline, and it's going to N22. Right, so you know how much money you want to make, you know how much time you're going to put into it. Now you can start thinking a little bit more about pricing, but we're not quite there yet. The next thing you want to do is decide, are you going to compete directly with the big booksellers? The guys that have, 7 million books in stock. Coffee tastes good today. So good. If you look at their listings, you'll see that they are, I'm just looking for this next bundle. You see that they are selling their books for little more than the cost of postage. So how do they make money? How do you compete with that? Well, to be quite honest, you can't. The way that they, let's try to work out how to stack these up. Let's put two in the bottom. I'm just doing one big bundle. It's a bundle of Marion keys. Yeah, you can't compete with them at those prices. If you want to sell your books, you're going to have to promote them. And promoting is not cheap. You'll spend about 30% on the various promoted listing fees. So standard final value fees, then your promoted listing fees. It's going to, if you're doing it in the way you want to sell, it's going to go about 30% all in, which is expensive. So if you're competing with a big seller and you're selling your book for £3.65, you're going to lose over £1 of that. Let's say £1.20 in fees. Potentially more. I think. Because, yeah, potentially more, because there's VAT and everything to pay on top of it. You're then got to take into account the cost of what you bought. So if the book cost you 50p, then you're down to, using that on there, that's you down to a couple of quids that you've made. Then you still have to post it. The cheapest you're going to be able to post it is, I think, about 270, 280 if it goes through. Oh, that's not fitting in that bag, I'll need to rethink that bundle. What was I saying there? Yeah, about £2.80, so you're going to lose money if you try and compete with those sales. There's a few other variables to take into account. For example, if you're VAT registered, you don't pay VAT on books that you sell, but you can get that back on postage costs, listing fees, etc. So there's a wee bit more profit that you would squeeze out from that, but you'd still probably be lucky to be breaking even. So if you want to compete with the big sellers, you need to only pick up books that are going to be worth, £6 plus. And to be honest, there's not a lot of them out there. There's some, but you'd spend hours going through every book and every charity shop and jumble sale and car boot sale you can find, just to find the one or two that are worth that value, and you're not going to get 100 books a week with an hour of sourcing time to do that. So you've got to think hard about that piece. The way that I compete with them is that I charge postage. So I'm keep my prices at or below what they're charging per individual book, and then I charge £3.65 postage on top of that. So if somebody's looking for a single book, they're unlikely to buy it from me, because it's going to cost them twice as much as it would cost to buy it from one of the big sellers. So what I do instead is have two promotions running constantly. Buy two, get one free, which means that if somebody buys 3 books, it's going to cost roughly the same as it would to buy 3 books from one of the other sellers. And if somebody buys 5 books, again, because postage is included, they're essentially getting one free. So it's like buy 4, get one free when you look at the overall price. So that's why I sell a lot of bundles, and that's how I price and compete with those. So you simply look at the lowest price sold, not listed, sold, and that's what you list your items as, plus postage on top of that. Now you've got to make it as easy as possible for people to buy if that's how you want to price things. So for example, we've got a bundle of Jeffrey Deavers going here. Now I've got one listing for Jeffrey Deaver, and I've got all of the books I've got within that listing down as variants. So when somebody is looking for a Jeffrey Deaver book, they type in the one they're looking for, my listing should pop up, and they can then buy from that listing as many Jeffrey Deaver books as they like, and that's where I compete price-wise with the big sellers. With a lot of the big bundle sets I've got, I actually price them quite a bit below individual prices. First thing is it makes it easier for listing them, because you just have a kind of standard price per book, and second of all, it gives you a slightly more competitive edge yet again, but it means you make less than £1 a book as a rule, which isn't great, but it does the job. You will get some sales that will go organic. I think about a third of my sales are organic, so in those cases I'm not spending that extra £1 to £3 on promoted listings, so that's some extra profit, but I don't make any assumptions. If I get any assumptions that that will be the case, I price everything as if it's going to go promoted. So to price your books, you need to decide what your time's worth. And at the moment, mine's worth less than minimum wage because I'm still building this. If you want to make £30–40 an hour, you're going to have to stick to very high value books. And there's not a lot of them about. Right, Deaver is going to GY2. And the total sale value for that was £13.20. That gives you an idea of what I'm talking about. Yep, so if you just want to be a kind of everything and anything bookseller, choose a few, I was about to say artists, well they are artists, aren't they? Choose which authors you want to pick. Focus primarily on those that have produced a lot of titles. Pick up a big stack of them. Create one single listing, which keeps your listing fees down as well. Price them all competitively. Charge postage. And promote that listing at a fairly high rate. So James Patterson, for example, he's like over 200 titles with James Patterson's name on them, so you tend to find a lot of those. I've got them priced around about £3 each, and £4.25 minimum I charge for a hardcover, which is above what you can pick them up for on just single price rates. However, hardcovers, if they sell in a bundle, will double the postage costs, but you're not doubling the postage you charge, so you need to charge more for them to make it worthwhile. Next we've got Forever by Pete Hamill going to BD10, and that was £3.25 plus postage. I'm just writing down the details on this one before I forget them. So yeah, get your big bundle of James Patterson books. Price them around about £3 a book. Promote the listing. Do it as variations, which you can't do through the mobile app. Obviously, you need to go into the main app, the main website. You do that on your phone, or you need to do it on a laptop, your PC or whatever, which I would recommend doing anyway. Right, next we've got a big bundle of those. Once you've got that listing established, then you can start looking at other authors and expand that out. But to price them, quite simply, look at what they're sold for and undercut it. Have the lowest price going. For most of the books you sell, there will be dozens, if not hundreds, of listings for those authors. So you need to do something that will make you stand out. Promoted listings, I've watched a lot of stuff around how to use promoted listings, and to be honest, a lot of it, I don't think people get what promoted listings actually do. You can promote everything at say 2%, which is the minimum, and that means that you will get views of your items. People will click on them, people will see them, you will get impressions. But rather than the amount you bid impacting directly on the number of impressions and the number of page views you get, the amount you bid impacts the quality of the viewer that you get on your book. If you're spending 2% on a promoted item, then eBay is just going to send you all the people who go on and browse eBay all the time but never buy anything. Doing so, if I'm on the algorithm, then they will see that I'm constantly searching things and not buying it, primarily because I'm doing like pricing research, etc. And I'm not a very valuable customer from that point of view. However, somebody who only uses eBay to buy stuff and only goes on eBay to buy stuff when there's something that they want to buy, that's a high value customer, and you're only going to get in front of them. Put my tape down somewhere, there it is. You're only going to get in front of them if, front of tape, you're paying a lot more money to get them. So if you're at 15-20% for your promoted listings, those are the customers you'll get. You will also get a chunk of the others. Your browsers don't buyers, but the higher you pay for your promoted listings, the better quality of people eBay will send your way. So there's a line in there you need to find. I think I found it for my listings, but it's possibly different for everyone. So you need to be a wee bit experimental to get what that is. I'm sure all of these things are impacted by the sell-through rate that you've got, how many sales you've had, feedback, all of these things will impact that as well. But in short, the more you pay for your promoted listings, the better quality of customer you will get coming to you. Think about it, shopping centre, high street. The wee unit tucked round the back is an awful lot cheaper than the big store right at the front of the whole shopping centre that everybody passes when they go in. Let's keep that there. So that's the first part of the promoted listings comparison, as it were. If you're only paying a low rate, you're only going to get low traffic. The next thing is the wee local shop, Bert's Books. can't spend an awful lot of money on advertising, doesn't have brand loyalty. We'll have some, but not a huge amount. Whereas the big bookshop, Wally's Wonder Book Emporium, it's got masses of brand loyalty through advertising and how long they've been about, visibility. So when people go in there, they go in there expecting a proportion. There's always browsers, but a larger proportion will go in there because they want to go in and buy one of Wally's Wonder Books. But for that company to do that, you have to spend an awful lot more per sale to get that sale. But they're basing their profit on volume rather than just quality. Right, noisy tape. It's a bundle of Stephen Leather books going out. So when you're considering your pricing, make sure you understand exactly how much you're going to be spending on your promoted listings per sale. 2.8 kilos into SK9. Because if you get that wrong, you'll end up making nothing. Right, so pricing should be competitive with, if you're assuming this is for kind of mass market produced things, it should be competitive with the big sellers plus postage, and create an offer that allows people to buy in quantity so that you're only having to pay that postage once to sell 3, 5, however many books, and that works out more profitable and will let you make up to £1 a book on these particular titles, which if you sell 100 a week gives you your £100, and you can do that within 10 hours. When you're doing bigger pickups, instead of picking up 100 books in the hour that you've got to source, you could get 300. You've got your listing more efficient, so that's maybe going to take 1 to 2 hours instead of an hour for 100. You'll have your packing set up more efficient, so you're able to do that in not too much more time. So instead of 10 hours to do 100 books, you're maybe at 14, 15 hours to do 300 books. And it improves from there as your processes improve. And that'll improve your hourly rate without having to adapt your pricing. Now, that's for mass market. There are good value books out there. And the next one is one of them. The Big Man by William McIlvenney. This sold for £35 plus postage, paperback. But what makes it different is it's signed with a dedication by the author to somebody. Signed books, you will find these mixed up all over the place, just on the normal shelves. Some shops will spot them and pick them out. Most don't, and you'll be able to get them. Some of them, it adds a couple of quid onto value, some substantially more, especially if it's a kind of proper personalised dedication rather than just a signed in Waterson's and somebody sat and scribbled in 1,000 books at a time. So when you find something that's a little bit different, simple research. That's all you need to do. Look for any sold listings for an exact match, which you may or may not find. Then look for similar listings. So if you're looking at this, perhaps the search should be William McIlvenney signed, and that will give you an indication of what the price should be. If it's something truly unique, so this was fairly unique because there's a few signed books but none with dedications as such, then price according to that. Aim a wee bit high. You can always bring the price down. You can put it on to accept offers. You can do what you like, but you're probably just because it will be a fairly unique item, you can price it anything you like, and then it's just patience. Too high and it will obviously never ever sell. Too low and it will sell in 5 minutes, which I've experienced far too many times. It's rather frustrating. So you want to get that just right. And make a wee sandwich for this book here, so I can keep it nicely protected. But for the more valuable books, it really is patience. You have to wait for the right buyer to come along and looking for it. And as soon as that buyer looks for it, there's a high probability you'll sell, but they might be looking for it next week, they might be looking for it next year. You just have to have that patience. This one I've had listed for maybe 3 weeks, so that's been quite a quick turnaround from that side. Making a little book sandwich. And make sure it gets there in good condition. So yeah, pricing rarer individual things, as with anything you would do on eBay, you research it, you see what it's sold for, and you sell it for that. Don't do auctions. If you're really unsure, then you could look at the minimum you would expect it to go for and run an auction. So if you think this book looks like it could be worth 50 quid, it might be worth an awful lot more because there's none others listed. It's quite collectible. You can't find a definite match in the price, but you don't want to risk missing out. Then you could start an auction at £50. If that is the right value and it's rare enough, chances are somebody will buy it within the week. If it is more collectible than you expected, then it gives the opportunity for that to go up. If it is collectible, people have their eyes out for collectible books. So they'll have, searches set up, and as soon as your item pops up, they'll know about it. And if it's in the right price range, they will buy it. So, how much do you want to earn? How next? Early childhood learning. How much time have you got to spend on it? And what kind of things you want to sell will then allow you to go in and find what the pricing should be. Ain't rocket science from that point of view. Rare books take a lot longer to research and list. If you want to know how much James Patterson books sell for, you'll do that in like 30 seconds. And then you know that. If you want to know how much a signed James McIlvanney book costs, you're going to have to look that up every single time, because it'll always be different. With any author, there could be more popular titles. And trends change, obviously. People are in and out of fashion. One of the most important tools I use for pricing, and this isn't actually to decide on what the price should be, but more on what the price can be, is I've got a wee spreadsheet set up. 700 grams for early childhood education and care, £7.50 plus postage, going to AB 39. Yep, so most important tool to see what the price can be. I've got a wee spreadsheet that I've set up where you plug in your eBay standard selling fees, promoted rates, so they're kind of the set. It takes into account what your postage is going to be and what your buying costs would be, and then there's one little box where you can chuck in a variable as to how much profit you would like to make from that particular item. So if you want to make £1 from it, £10 from it, 50p from it, 0, whatever it is, and then that spits out a number at the end for me, which tells me what it needs to be listed at, including postage, to make that profit. And I use that all the time still, just to double check. So if you're selling a bundle of 5 books, you can put in the total buy cost for 5 books and the profit you want to make from those 5 books and the expected postage charge for those 5 books, etc. And it'll spit out the number that needs to sell at to make whatever your determined profit is going to be. So a tool like that is really helpful, just to make sure that you might put something together and think, "Aye, that looks like a good deal," but the numbers don't stack up. You need to take it into account. So yeah, think about that. Anyway, got another wee cracker going out. Didn't actually sell for as much as the McAvenny book, but it's gorgeous. Look at that. Isn't that absolutely beautiful? All gilded. The Universe, or The Infinitely Great and the Infinitely Little. Really good condition. It's kind of an encyclopedic type thing, and it's from, I think, the turn of the century, about 1902-ish, I think. I wasn't sure on the date. I couldn't work out how to find it anymore. I found a couple of similar listings that were active, not just on eBay but on other places, and they're all sitting around about the £30 to £35 mark. So because I wasn't sure, I picked that up in a haul just yesterday. So this is one of the dangers. I just stuck it on for 25 quid plus postage, and it sold within the hour. So I think I underpriced it slightly, not massively. I think I could have maybe stuck 40 quid on that and it would have still sold reasonably quickly, but I wasn't sure and I thought that price was about right. I'm quite happy with that. That's a book that's cost me like 20-30p, and it's sold for considerably more. It's a rare book. That's one thing to mention. In the rare books, if there's only 1 or 2 listings, you don't need to promote it. When somebody's looking for it, it's going to be there. If you do promote it, then there's a chance that somebody will just click on the promoted listing instead of the organic listing, and you'll end up paying eBay an extra few quid when you really didn't need to. So avoid that issue where possible. And that's how you promote things. Right, I'm just going to give it a second wrap or bubble wrap. It doesn't add much more protection, but it's good for the look of the thing. It's a beautiful book. I want to make sure it's kept that way throughout its travels. So rare books like that do something different. And to source these, if you're already an expert, then you're probably not looking to learn how to sell books on eBay. But if you're not sure, if things are cheap enough, pick them up, give them a go. That's the only way you'll really learn. That was a kind of obvious title to grab because it was in such good condition and had some age about it, and if nothing else, it was just a really, really good looking book that somebody would use to make a bookshelf look pretty as much as anything else. You know, it's absolutely gorgeous. So those ones are kind of obvious. It might only have been worth a £5, but again, that's what I assume when I'm picking up older books, that instead of being worth £84, they're maybe going to sell for £5 to £6. It'll take longer to sell them, blah blah blah, but you make a couple of quid on it instead of a quid. So I don't have any issues with them sitting for a bit longer to make that money. Yeah, old books, vintage books. If it's a known author and it's old, pick it up. You never know what you'll find. But if it's as good looking as that one was, just grab it. G84 this one's going to. A lot of Scottish sales today. don't know where G84 is. It's Glasgow something or other. In Glasgow, it's not far out. Right. Next, I've got a big bundle of Harry Potter, but I think I've had you guys on here way long enough. And having to think whilst I'm doing this, it's slowing me down dramatically. So I'm going to crack on with the listings. If this has been helpful in any way, let me know. I'm sure I can do it a lot more clearly and concisely if anyone's interested. But just decide how you want to sell, how much money you want to make. That'll dictate what kind of items you're going to pick up. And once you've picked them up with books, you just need to be competitive with the big sellers. You cannot do that selling individual books, except in very rare circumstances where it's a more expensive book. So you need to create an offer which will allow you to sell in bulk, so it reduces your postage cost per item and makes you competitive with the big sellers, and then you will start selling books. Promote your listings. The higher percentage you put on your promoted listings, the better quality of potential customers will see your listings. It will be a higher volume as well, but not significantly so, but it will be a better quality of customer that sees your items. So use promoted listings from that point of view. And beyond that, good luck. Buy the books, sell the books, make a couple of quid. Right, I'm going to leave it there. I'll see you all later. Love you. Bye.